Welcome, everyone, to Trend Talks Life. I am your host, Erin Tomie, and today we're talking to Trend Micro VP Consumer Product Management, Eric Schultz. Eric, how are you doing today?
Hey, Erin, how's it going? Beautiful warm day here in Chicago, Illinois.
Amazing. Yeah, it is probably a bit too hot here in Texas, but fortunately I can hide inside today. But I'm really looking forward to our chat, and I would love to just start with you sharing a bit about your role here at Trend Micro.
Yeah, so I've been at Trend about 10 years now, and in my current role, I lead our consumer product management team. So if it's things that a consumer would buy at a retailer or a mobile shop, or through some of our online web stores that you would run on like your home devices, that is the team that I lead that drives those products.
Well, Eric, I know you didn't start your career in cybersecurity, and in fact, you actually studied zoology. Can you share a bit more about that?
Yeah, that seems to be one of the running fun stories here. So I did study zoology in university. I had a really bad computer science professor my first year trying to teach Java. It just didn't click. Definitely not a developer. Will never claim to be one. But I had a really amazing zoology professor, and I kind of looked at it as, hey, why don't I just, go down this path, work on a degree? Because I knew in the technology space at that time, a lot of it was certification based and knowledge based, not necessarily what your degree in, just that you had a degree.
So, how did you go from studying zoology to now being in cybersecurity? You said you've been at Trend for 10 years. How does that journey work?
Bit of a jump for sure. I will say, when I graduated, I figured I probably should use the degree, or at least try to use the degree for something. So on a semi-whim, moved to Hawaii, started in January as a dolphin trainer working on the Big Island of Hawaii. So that was a bit of a jump, but compared to the Chicago winter at that time, Hawaii was a much better option in January. And then after that contract ran its course, moved back and ultimately made my way into the Chicagoland area where I am now, and worked for a small reseller that was looking for a network admin, and was there for a couple of years, and then got lured away to Trend to join as a sales engineer, and then ultimately just moved through different teams at Trend into the role I'm in now.
So, I guess the bigger question to ask then is, did anything you learned in the zoology phase of your life transfer over to cybersecurity?
Yeah, so at first I would say it didn't. I didn't notice it, but looking back and having reflected, there was definitely a lot of more soft skill things that it learned, or that I learned from it. Specifically, in my time in Hawaii, there was a lot of soft skills regarding nonverbal communication. Right, so working with the animals, with the dolphins specifically, they obviously can't communicate in English. Or in any spoken language. So how we communicated was obviously nonverbal, and being able to recognize, when they were effectively trying to communicate with you or tell you they could or couldn't do something, and then being able to, understand, interpret, and apply that has really benefited me in the cybersecurity side, because I get pulled into, a lot of meetings with customers, executives, developers, and how do you read the room to make sure that you're engaging all the different people in the room to make sure that everyone is learning what they need from that sales meeting or that, partnership meeting, etc.
I think at the outset, I can understand why your immediate thought would be, oh, okay, nothing transferred. Like, they're so different. And I think a lot of people probably had no idea, even trenders had no idea that that's what your background was. So I love that when you really thought about it, you were like, no, like, there are things that relate, even if it is that nonverbal communication with animals and people, and we're not so different when it comes down to major things like that. So I think it's cool that you are, no matter what the industries or the roles that you're in, there is always something that you can take from your past life and put it into place into what you're doing now.
Yeah, and I think that actually kind of goes into, my career here at Trend, right? Because I said I started as a sales engineer, and after a few years, I moved into the product management team on the enterprise side, did a few different, product focuses there over the years. And that's kind of been a mantra for me is, hey, take the unexpected and what can you learn from it and apply to where you get to next or to your next step. Consumer has definitely got some very key differential or differences from the commercial side, but even the enterprise side or the commercial side between an SE and a product manager, there's a lot of differences, but there's also a lot of similarities of how I could use, that previous experience to be better at my job that I had at that time.
Well, you mentioned it a bit there, but in 2023, you made the move from trend enterprise to trend consumer. What are those major differences in product that you noticed? And did anything surprise you considering that you've been at trend for so long?
Yeah, I don't know if anything surprised me directly. Maybe as I reflect that something will come up, but there's definitely some key differences in how we go to market with the products. For example, we'll go direct in many cases with our consumer products. But one of the core differences is the buyer, where in the commercial space, you have in many cases very technical buyers that are looking at every feature difference, where in the consumer space, you have buyers that could be very untechnical or non-technical, that are just trying to solve a problem for them or their family or one of their loved ones. So what drives that buying behavior, or where a commercial customer wants every fancy bell and whistle, a consumer customer just wants it to work so that they can move on with their life and do the more fun things, because security isn't their job or their full-time career like it may be in the commercial space for many people that buy our products.
From what I know about product management, the customer is such a key important part about what you do, and looking at those customer needs, looking at that customer journey. So it seems like that is a really big jump to go from enterprise to consumer. Were you nervous about that jump? How did you feel about making that leap?
I think, yeah, so there's a little bit of nervous. I think if you asked my leaders that asked me to make the jump, I was a little hesitant at the start, but I've also, kind of gotten comfortable being uncomfortable with this, right? I've been moved to a couple of different products where I knew very little about the technology space in the past, containers, XDR in the early days of that. And some of it is just, roll up your sleeves and figure it out. The great thing about the consumer space, though, at least for me, is the reality is we're all consumers. I'm a consumer. Erin, you're a consumer, right? My parents, my friends. So I have at least a representative sample to kind of go and look at how do they use technology in their daily lives? What problems are they facing? Whereas on the commercial side, you can call up and interview your customer. Here I can, kind of see how friends, family, others are actually using it and just kind of get the data, the same data, just maybe collecting it with a little bit different approach.
Well, I know that a lot has been going on in the trend consumer world during the last month, even. Moving forward, what are you most excited about for the rest of 2024?
Yeah, so with the a couple of weeks ago, before that we recorded this, there was a big event in Taiwan called Computex where we made some major announcements regarding AI PC and our consumer product line. And I think that's where I'm most excited. There's a lot of new technology coming down. I'm sure everyone's heard the term AI a million places, but now you're seeing what's called AI PC, or computers that have a specialized AI chip in them coming main market or mass market. And how we can help users enjoy this new technology or this transformation in the infrastructure and do it safely, right? Because it's going to open a whole new world of use cases that people are only starting to dream up. But we want to make sure that they can do them safely. So I'm really excited that this infrastructure shift with AI is coming right at this time, and we've got some exciting product stuff that we've already announced, and even more coming specifically around that.
Eric, thank you so much for chatting with me today. I feel like we've covered your journey before trend, your journey at trend. Now we're looking at what's next at trend for you in the future. Thank you so much again for joining me here on Trend Talks Life, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks for having me, Erin.